Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the We Rising Suns podcast. This is episode 2 of the podcast, and first off, I want to thank you guys for all the feedback that you guys gave me on the first episode. I want to thank you guys for listening to the first episode, and like I had said in the first episode, this feedback really helps me get that proper footing, helps me, kind of keeps me grounded, and gives me an idea of what you guys like and what you guys don't like. And one of the things that a lot of people had said that I could have done a little better on is the content spacing. They felt like the first episode had a lot of content and a lot of different topics that kind of was hard to keep track with. And so in the next few episodes, I want to kind of take some of those topics that I talked about in the first episode and kind of unpack those points and unpack some of those topics that I talked about, so that it just kind of gives you a little bit more in depth, in detail of what I was kind of talking about. And the second thing was, a lot of people said that they had wished I'd introduced myself a little bit. They felt like I didn't introduce myself really at all. And so I guess to start this off, my name is Raymond Logan. I'm 16 years old. I live in Bettendorf, Iowa. I'm currently a junior in high school, and I was actually adopted when I was around 3.5. And I was adopted from Ghana in Africa, and I'm actually a triplet. So all those of you who are twins, I'm better than you. Yeah. But anyways, after high school, I plan on joining the military, either after high school or after college. And so I still am trying to figure that out, but there's a lot of things that I have to factor into that. But yeah, so I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior in high school, adopted. I'm a triplet, and yeah, let's get into the topic for today. In the last episode, I had talked about weak men. And for those of you who didn't listen to the first episode, or for those of you who forgot, my definition of weak men wasn't based on the outwardly attributes, but more on the internal attributes. Less about the outwardly strengths and more on the internal strength. And in this episode, I want to focus more on that topic. I want to unpack a little bit of the subject of internal strength and go a little bit more in depth with that. So starting off this topic, what even is this internal strength that I keep talking about? And really what inner strength is the possession of willpower, self-discipline, self-control, having that mental strength. It's our inner fortitude, really. That thing that really helps us push past our limits. It's like our engine, and it really is our soul strength. And it drives us forward and towards our accomplishment and our achievements. It's like the battery that gives you the power, endurance, and discipline to carry on in situations where other people fail or break down emotionally or physically. I mean, how many times have you wished you had more inner strength, willpower, or self-discipline? How many times have you lacked the persistence and inner stamina to follow through with your decisions? Do you admire and respect strong individuals who have overcome obstacles and difficulties and reached far because of inner strength they possessed? And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Most people that you know, that you see, aren't born with inner strength. And they had to work on themselves. They had to work on the parts which they were weak. They had to build up their inner strength. They weren't just born with it. A lot of people aren't born with it at all. I mean, a great number of people lack the inner strength to say no. A lot of people find it difficult to display assertiveness. And a lot of people lack the inner strength to follow their dreams. Some people are afraid to take action. Some people are afraid to stand up and prefer to leave things as they are. There are people who lack the resolution and persistence to go on with their plans to the end. And it's the inner strength that's going to drive them to that finish line. It's the inner strength that's going to give them that boost, that push. So developing inner strength is very beneficial. And inner strength really is an essential skill. This is necessary for life when you are faced with tough decisions, when you are faced to push past your own limitations. And really, without it, it's really hard to keep going. It's hard to get past that finish line. So we do need inner strength in our life. And I see a lot of people who lack the discipline, the self-control, who lack the perseverance. And this is a subject that needs to be addressed. It's something that needs to be built up. And this topic of inner strength, discipline, of self-control may be very intimidating, but I don't want it to intimidate you. The skill, a lot of people think it's mainly for people who are highly successful, people who are very, people who really get after it. But the truth is, anybody can develop this inner strength. Anybody can improve, can build their inner strength with some training, with some practice. So how do you build this inner strength? How do you get in touch with your inner strength on the inside? And I think the first step to building your inner strength is to identify the areas that you're already strong in and to identify the areas that you're not so strong in. This way, you can more target the areas that you need to be stronger on, and you're not just strengthening the areas that you're already strong on. And you're probably wondering, well, how do I even identify those areas which I'm weak in? How do I even find out I'm weak in these certain areas, or I'm lacking strength in these certain areas of my strength? And one of the things that I do personally is reflection, self-reflection, examination of conscious, examination of my actions throughout the day, or just being conscious of my action. And just this very simple thing that I do, just examining myself, not in a negative way, but being mindful of my actions and finding different ways that I can be better in, is very powerful because it helps me to see and identify those parts that I'm weak in. And this is really what this is, examination of conscience, or is just kind of figuring and finding out the places which you failed to be stronger in, or the places that you could have been stronger in. And I do this reflection at night after my day's done. That way it's not like I just do it in the morning and I don't really have any way of kind of having something to reflect on. But if you do this at night, then you've already gone through your day, you've already done the things that you have to do, and you've already made those mistakes. And when I do this, I just close my eyes, I focus on my breathing, I take a couple deep breaths, and I just replay my day from start to finish. And I just go through my day and I examine the things that I did. And trust me, you will quickly find your weaknesses when you do this consistently, because you will start to notice a pattern. You will start to notice the things that, the areas that you need to be stronger on, whether that's your patience, whether that's your self-control, whether that's your discipline. You're going to find these things and you're going to pick them out instantly. And that is one of the ways that you're going to find the areas that you need to become stronger in. You're going to find those weaknesses, you're going to find those weak links, and you're going to be able to strengthen them now. Now that you have found them, now that you know what they are, you can more directly target them. And trust me when I say that you're going to probably find more weaknesses than you did strengths throughout that day. When you are more closely examining your actions, you're more closely examining the things that you did, you're going to more closely recognize your strengths and your weaknesses, and most likely you're going to have a imbalance. You're going to have an imbalance of strengths and weaknesses, and the greater of those is probably going to most likely be your weaknesses, and your strength is going to be lacking a little bit. So I do encourage you to do this. This is a very powerful tool. Self-examination, it's going to help you keep yourself in check. It's going to help you strengthen the areas that you're strong, that you're weak in. Pay closer attention to your actions, to the things that you did throughout the day. Another step is going to be to refuse to satisfy unimportant or unhealthy desires of yours, or unhealthy habits of yours. And let's all be honest with ourselves. We all have those unhealthy habits that we continue to do, continue to make, and we all very well know that they're not healthy for us, but we continue to do it because it's very satisfying. whether that's mentally or physically. And most likely it's going to be physically a lot of the time. But resisting these unhealthy habits, resisting to be satisfied by momentarily pleasure, is not only strengthening our willpower, our self control, our mental strength, our discipline, but it's also helping us become free. And some of you have probably heard of Jocko Willink's discipline equals freedom. And the idea of this is that through discipline that we can obtain freedom. That through discipline we can get rid of our bad habits, that we can get our life back in check, and we are not enslaved or being held down by our pleasures, by our bad habits, by our whatever it is that holds us back, that keeps us chained to whatever's that we are being held back by. And that if we work to strengthen our will, if we work to strengthen our mental strength, if we work to strengthen our self control, really, if we work to strengthen our no to our bad habits. But strengthening your will, strengthening your self control, strengthening your mental strength, strengthening your discipline is just going to help you stand sturdier in times of temptation, when you are tempted by your bad habits, where you're tempted by materialistic things or things of the flesh. Then you have that will and you have that strength to say no. And now you're not being held back by those pleasures or those bad habits, and you're free. So work on refusing to satisfy unimportant, unhealthy desires of yours. One of the next steps is going to be to strive to carry out important tasks, even if you feel resistance to make the effort. And this is another one of those things that help strengthen your your willpower. It really helps altogether strengthen that inner strength. Because there are days where, for example, you don't want to get up and work out. I mean, those are important tasks, and some days you just don't want to do it. There are days, maybe you don't want to eat healthy. I mean, that's also an important task. It's a priority, and there's just gonna be those days where you're just not gonna want to do that. But it's important that you do carry those tasks out, that you do make sure that you complete them, because it's going to help strengthen your really that overall inner strength. Pushing yourself to do the things that you don't want to do is only going to make you stronger in the long run. And it's also going to bring that sense of commitment. It's also going to bring that, I said I was going to do this, and now I'm going to follow through with it. I took this upon myself, and now I have to finish what I started or what I said I was going to do, and I have to follow through. The next step is investing time into strengthening the areas which you are weak in. If you want to become stronger, then you have to invest time and work into the thing which you want to become stronger in. For example, if you're working to run a marathon, you're not going to just not run and build up to that marathon. Once you want to strengthen the areas in which you are weak, maybe you are out of condition. Maybe you haven't been eating as healthy. I mean, wouldn't you want to start getting into shape? Wouldn't you want to start eating healthier so that when it does come time to run that marathon, you can run at your full capacity or at your full potential? I mean, you wouldn't want to run at half speed when you could really be running at full speed. I mean, you would want to strengthen the areas in which you are weak in. You are going to invest time and work. You're going to make an investment into that. And just like the marathon runner, if you want to become a better person, if you want to strengthen your inner strength, then you have to invest time and work into that. You have to invest time in improving the areas in which you are not so strong in. I mean, if you want to become better, then you have to take steps and you have to work towards getting better. So invest time into bettering and strengthening the parts in which you are weak in. And lastly is the most important one, which is consistency. If you are not consistent, then you are not going to improve. If you're not consistently trying to improve your time for a marathon, then you're going to consistently have a bad time. And if you're never consistently working on improving the areas in which you are weak in, then you're going to consistently still be weak in those areas. So really, consistency is the key to all of this. You have to be consistent. You have to consistently examine the parts in which you are weak in. You have to consistently refuse to satisfy unnecessary desires. You have to consistently work to carry out important tasks. Be consistent. If you are consistently improving to better yourself, then you are going to consistently become a better person. And you can cultivate inner strength even if you do lack it. It just depends on how far you're willing to go to become strong. You're ambitious in the time devoted to this pursuit. I know you don't have to have some super ordinary powers to gain your inner strength or your self-discipline. You don't have to put your body through some extreme pain, like, I don't know, sleeping on nails or walking on fire, or I don't know, some things that people might think of when they talk about this. But I mean, and there are going to be situations where you are going to have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations that you don't like. I mean, it's just going to be one of the steps of building your inner strength and your discipline, but it's not require you to run on nails or run on fire, hot coals. So be happy you don't have to do that. And I think that the concept of developing inner strength requires you to go through some suffering and physical hardship is not true. I mean, really, you gain and you can cultivate this through practice, just like anything else. Just like in the gym where you constantly stay consistent of lifting the weights, you have to stay consistent with practicing these different attributes and practicing these different strengths. There are endless amount of steps that you can take to improve and strengthen your inner self. And since I can't cover all of them, since I don't know all of them, and really strengthening your inner self and consistently becoming stronger is going to be a lifelong journey. And you have to be willing to walk that path. But there are so many different ways that you can strengthen your inner strength. There are so many different things that you can do to challenge yourself and become better. I encourage you to take some of the steps that I talked about in this episode and apply them to your life. See how it can help you to strengthen your inner strength, to strengthen your inner self. And really, I encourage you to strengthen yourself as a whole, to strengthen yourself as an individual. And really, if we want to help and change this world and to make it a better place, changing the world starts with changing ourselves individually and bettering ourselves individually. And the world's never truly going to change if we never truly change ourselves. So work to better yourself, work to change yourself, work to become better, to know better, to do better. And again, I want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. I want to thank you guys for supporting this podcast. And again, I asked for feedback. I mean, how did you guys like this episode? Do you guys like the format? Are there some things that you wish I would have covered? Are there some things that you wish that I could have done better on? Just tell me. I mean, I'm not afraid of criticism. I'm not afraid to be taught anything. So, just tell me the things that you think that I could do better on. Whether that's speaking, whether that's spacing out my content, whether that's maybe getting a little bit more content, a little bit more in depth on the topics that I talk about. But yeah, give me some feedback. Give me some idea of what you guys like. Give me some idea of what you guys are kind of feeling. And if you guys have some topics, or if you guys have some things that maybe you want me to talk about, or some things that maybe you really want a topic that you want addressed, just let me know, and maybe I can make an episode on it, and I'll see what I can do. But in the meantime, you guys can go follow us on our socials accounts. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at We Rising Suns. And you guys can also follow us or listen to this podcast on various platforms now. You can go to our hosting site on our website, and you can listen to it there. And our hosting site is rss.com. You can also stream us now on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. Again, that is Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and on our hosting site, rss.com, all at We Rising Suns. But in the meantime, go and better yourself. Go and do better. Go to work to become a better person and strive to do better. But in the meantime, know better, be better, and do better. Go get after it, and see you guys next time on the We Rising Suns podcast.